We need to have out our readers, but they're closed in our desk. We are not in them. Before we get in them today, I want to preview some words, just as we always do, and go over those words before we start reading. So, to start today, our first word I want us to see is one that we heard in our read aloud. It's the word membrane. What's our word?
Membrane.
When I read membrane, I can break it up. Membrane. Brain, even though it's spelled different than the brain we're used to, we see that the E is reaching over to make the A say its name, so it helps us figure out what that second syllable would be, okay? Membrane. The membrane is going to be a thin sheet or layer that covers something. And today that membrane we were focusing on was on the, do you remember? That eardrum. The eardrum was that thin membrane. Good. And we'll read it about again today. Our next word we'll get there, is the word vibrate. What's our word?
Vibrate.
The word vibrate follows that same pattern as our last one, where we've got vi and brate, where we've got the E reaching over to make the A say its name. Remember, our syllables are broken up by having one vowel sound per syllable. So we have vibrate. Even though we have this vowel here, is this E saying anything? Nope, it's the E that makes that A say its name, vibrate. If something is going to vibrate, it's going to be moving back and forth really rapidly. We talked today about how that's like the drum. When you beat it, the reason that sound, it makes that sound is because it vibrates. Our next word is the word gland. What's our word?
Gland.
Gland. A gland is an organ in the body that makes a natural chemical. And we're going to learn about those chemicals and what they have, but glands make a chemical. Kind of cool, we have sweat glands. What do sweat glands produce?
Sweat.
Sweat. So that's that natural chemical production that it's producing. Put it away. Put it away. Our next word we're going to have in our reading today is the word sensitive. What is our word?
Sensitive.
Again, breaking it up into our syllables, we know that each syllable is going to have its own vowel sound. So we've got sensitive. That E, again, reaching over to make that I say its name. But it's not sensitive. I'm silly. This one is just a little bit different from our other ones. It's on there, but is it making its own sound? No. Sensitive. If something is sensitive, it's going to be responsive quickly. And that's kind of what we're going to get into here. So being able, we think of sensitive as in like those emotions, but a sensitive in this one today is going to be that response quickly.
Sensitive skin.
What?
English words don't end in V, so that we have that job.
Perfect. I'm glad you mentioned that. So that is English words don't end in the V, so we have that E on the end. Thank you.
So I didn't know that either until a couple years ago.
I always like learning new things.
Yeah, I had no idea. Like, it's not the magic E or the bossy E. It's
The E at the end with the V. And we see it again on nerve. So that's perfect. We have the auditory nerve. And we already read about the auditory nerve today. But the auditory nerve is going to be the nerve that helps us. It's sending that signal from your ear to your brain. And we see what she just mentioned, Miss Jackie just mentioned, is we see that E again. Again, apparently we don't end in V, so we have that E on the end there to help us with that. So these are some of the words we're going to come across today. Read them as we have them. We have auditory nerve.
Auditory nerve. Sensitive. Gland. Vibrate. Membrane.
We are going to see all of these words as we go through our reading today. Today we are going to be reading chapter 8. Before you open to chapter 8, what do you think I want you to open to?
Glossary.
The table of contents. Open up to your table of contents. Opening up to our table of contents. Today I said we are going to be reading chapter 8. Chapter 8 in our table of contents we see is called
Ears and hearing.
So you can predict we're going to be learning about what?
Ears and hearing.
Ears and hearing in chapter 8 today. Very good. What page can we find chapter 8 on?
60.
Open up to page 60. Voices are off. Remember, we always want to start at the table of contents. I'm going to wait. We always want to start at that table of contents because it's a really good place to make sure we know what's in the book. We see where we're at. It's kind of that quick review of what have I read, what am I getting to now, and then help us find the page. Today we're going to start on chapter 8, Ears and Hearing, and we are going to be reading about ears and hearing. As you notice in our picture over here, we have Dr. Kwan Si-yu, and he's introducing us to another doctor. So Dr. Wellbody introduced us to Dr. Kwan Si-yu yesterday. And today he is going to introduce us to another doctor because remember, we heard Dr. Wellbody tell us that that's not her specialty. Eyes were not her specialty. Do you think eyes are his specialty?
Yes.
Our eyes are his. Are ears his specialty?
No.
Nope. So he's going to introduce us to Dr. Kim Audit, which is funny. It's got like the auditory nerve. Get it? Dr. Kim Audit today. As we read this first page, I want you guys to read to find out. Dr. Kim Audit is an expert on what two things? So what is Dr. Kim Audit an expert on? I'm going to let you do your reading today, and I'll be around to listen. Dr. Kim Audit is an expert on what two things? What is she an expert on? What things is she an expert on? Take your fingers, put them on them in your text. I want to see you find them before we say it. Put your fingers on the two things she's an expert at. I should be able to see it. Your fingers on them. 2 fingers, put them on the 2 things she's an expert with. On boys and girls? Oh, on the 2 words. Put them under there so I can see them. Dr. Kim Audit is an expert on what 2 things? Ears and hearing. What we just did was we found it in the text. We proved our answer with text evidence. I didn't have to make it up. I didn't have to guess. Right in the text, it lets us know that Dr. Kwan Si-yu was not an expert on ears and hearing, and that's why he brought his friend down. She is. Very good. Today, we are going to read a little bit more about it. Go ahead and turn the page. I'm sorry about that. On this page, we are going to be looking at membrane and vibrate. Those are 2 of the words I showed you to begin with. I told you a little bit about them. If you come across an unknown word in your reading, where can you look to help you find the meaning of that word? Grayson.
Maybe in the glossary or maybe text evidence to go back.
Ooh, both of those are great places. He said I could look in the glossary, or I can go back and find text evidence to find the answer to that as well. That is perfect. We are going to start today by looking at the glossary. I want us to, in the glossary, find the word membrane and the word vibrate and find out what they mean. Find a membrane and vibrate and find out what they mean. Where are you going to look?
In the glossary.
Fabulous. Some people I see need to zoom into the glossary now and look for it.
Vibrate.
Remember, the glossary can be, don't just find it, read what it means. We're going to find the membrane under what letter?
M.
We're going to find vibrate under what letter?
V. Membrane is on page 100.
Zena, would you please read to us, what is a membrane?
A thin sheet or layer that covers something.
Fabulous. It's a thin sheet or layer that covers something. Kyler, please read us, what does vibrate mean?
To move back and forth rapidly.
To move back and forth rapidly. Great. Third graders, I want you to look up on mine, and you can look in your book as well back on our page. We're going to see membrane. Now, I want to show you vibrate is going to show up in a few variations today. We're going to see vibrate, like I'm circling right here. And we're also going to see vibrations. So vibrate is the action. Vibrations are going to be what that noun is. It's going to be what it actually is, what we see, what would we be hearing. We would hear the vibrations. Vibrate is the action. So we're going to see both of those variations in our reading today. As you guys read, I want you to read to find out what are sound waves. If you forget the question, point to where you can find it. I put it up on the screen today, right? So read to find out what are sound waves. What are sound waves? Hopefully your partner said yes, they agree with you, or they don't agree with you, because we just did a quick share. Viola, what are sound waves? Sound waves are vibrations. What can we add to it to make it complete? Brack.
Vibrations in the air.
Fabulous. So just add a little bit to it. Sound waves are vibrations in
The air.
the air. Fabulous. Great job. And next to it, we see Dr. Audit, and she's demonstrating those vibrations. She's hitting that drum, and those sound waves would be going out. Go ahead and turn the page. We have a lot more reading to do on this page, and we have more of those vocabulary words that we had gone over earlier. Thank you. More of those vocabulary words that we went over earlier. So some of the things we read about in our read aloud earlier today were going to be the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear as you guys go through. We also already heard about the eardrum and glands from earlier, right? As you guys read today, there are 3 questions to be thinking of. What are the 3 parts of the ear? Can we already answer that?
Yeah.
But read with the focus of finding text evidence. Where are you going to find that in our text? What are the functions of the outer ear? So whenever we talk about the function, we're talking about the job. What is its purpose? What is the outer ear doing? And what is the function? What are the functions of the inner ear? What are the inner ears doing? Go ahead and read to answer those 3 questions. If you finish reading, make sure you can identify where you can find the answer to these 3 questions. Got it? Go ahead and read. Third graders, we know that the outer ear does what? It catches sound. So then I was mistaken. I said inner ear, but I meant to write middle ear. What is the function of the middle ear then? Grayson.
It is to it is
It's a little confusing because it doesn't directly come out and say it. The middle, what's in the middle ear? The
3 bones.
3 bones and that eardrum's part of it. That's going to be where the sound vibrates. Very good. And there's more on the next page as well. So we'll just go ahead and jump to our next page here. Our next page is talking about the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup, as well as the cochlea. I want you to read today to find out what those are, and pay attention to the image we have as well, okay? Go ahead and read to find out more information about those.